Hello and welcome back to OddsChecker's Player Prop Show. What's going on? Matt O'Leary joined with Derek Carty and Geoff Fienberg. As always, last week, Derek went 2-2 in his first week joining us, and Geoff went 2-2 to bring his record to 11-9. Myself, 1-3. Tough week, 7-13 on the season. We're going to jump right into it. We have a lot to get into. We are going to start with a passing prop, as always, and we're going to toss to Derek first. Derek, what do you got for us this week?
Yeah, I'm looking at Tom Brady here for my passing prop. His pass attempts, the line is 38.5, -114. I have him projected at close to 45 attempts here. This is a team that all season, all they wanted to do is pass the ball. You get the sense that they want to break some records this year, and this projects as the fastest paced game on the slate. So there should be the opportunity not only for a high percentage of passing for the Bucks, but for just a large quantity of plays in general being run in this game. Philly is one of the very fastest paced teams in football. The Bucks are right behind them. So this is a game where I really expect plenty of plays to be run. And so I'm on the over here for Brady's pass attempts.
All right, there we go. Geoff, where are we going this week with passing?
For me, I'm going to Matthew Stafford over 285 passing yards, guys. Last week, Stafford looked a little sloppy in that Thursday night game against Seattle, but I expect them and the Rams to get that offense fully back on track. I believe when the Rams are able to run the ball with Henderson, it clearly makes Stafford even more effective. I think they'll have their way versus the Giants with the extended rest, getting back to exactly what they were doing in those first couple games of the year. Stafford to that over 285.
Geoff, I'm going to be right there with you. I don't know if I'm the mush, though. I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or not. But, yeah, I'm with you. I think that they're going to put up some pretty big numbers offensively against this Giants defense. They just have a ton of injuries right now, and I think that defense is going to be on the field a lot. This Rams team has been effective when throwing the ball. So I think he clears that number with ease. I think you're looking at him getting up into the 300s this week. So I'm going to ride with Geoff on this one. So we'll go back to Derek for some rushing. Derek, what are we looking at this week?
I'm staying with the same game for a lot of the same reasons. I'm going with Miles Sanders carry prop. The game logs for Sanders haven't looked great lately, but this is a guy who gets 70% of the rushing attempts for Philadelphia. And this line is just way too low. 9.5 plus 105 on the over. I have him projected at close to 13 attempts. And so I think this is an easy one to smash given just the percentage of carries that he's going to get. Non-quarterback carries, obviously, because of Jalen Hurts. But 70% of those. And once again, this is the fastest paced game on the slate by a lot. And so a fast pace, raises all ships.
All right, there we go. Love the logic behind that one. Geoff, where are we at this week on a rushing one?
I'm going right back to Trevor Lawrence rushing props just like I did last week. It's hard to find a lot of props in this Miami-Jacksonville game, the early London game this week, I guess, with the Tua situation and some Jaguar receiving situations. I'm quite bullish on this game being very high scoring, and Trevor Lawrence once again making plays on his own this week. Trevor Lawrence to the over 26.5 rushing yards in London.
All right, there we go. Going back to the well on Lawrence. I like it. I'm going to go with a different quarterback in there over. I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson over 69.5. He had a big-time performance on Monday Night Football against the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, throwing the ball a ton, but I think this offense is at its best when Lamar is running the ball, and we've seen him clear this number a bunch in his career. I don't think it's something that should deter you from taking the rushing prop at 69.5. That's usually a lot for a quarterback, but he's absolutely someone who could hit that. So give me Lamar at 69.5 at -115. We're going to go back to Derek on a receiving prop. What's one you like this week?
I know it's high variance to stick with all of my props in the same game, but that really is where I see the most value this week. And so I'm going with Gio Bernard's receiving yards prop, receptions prop rather. 1.5, -150. I have him projected at 2.5, and so I like this bet. I think he's going to be worked back in more. Last week, a lot fewer snaps, a lot fewer routes than he had been running earlier in the year. Was coming off the injury, and so I think really it's easy enough to chalk it up to that. I think he's going to be more involved this week. I don't think this number should be a difficult one to reach. He's going to be involved on some third downs, and again, lots of plays are going to be run here.
Absolutely. Geoff, how about you?
Well, I myself am also going with some same game variants and maybe piggybacking off the success of what I hope is my quarterback prop here. But Cooper Kupp over that 81.5 for sort of many of the reasons we both indicated when we picked the Stafford over. Even when Kupp doesn't feel like he's fully involved in the game, he still gets it done like we saw last week. As indicated earlier, I believe Stafford, McVay, they get to have their way with the Giants this week, which means Cooper Kupp will clear that 81.5 receiving yards total easily.
All right, there you go. Sticking with that same game. I'm going to go to the Packers and the Bears, and I'm going to take Allen Robinson's over at 50.5. I know he's had a couple of down weeks, but I think if the Bears want to stay in this game, they're going to have Justin Fields throw the ball, and he is by far their most reliable target. He's cleared this number just once, I think, this year so far, but in this game, again, if they want to stay competitive here and be able to stick with the high-octane offense that is the Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, Allen Robinson's going to have to be involved here. So give me over 50.5 at minus 115 there as well. Over to Derek for his bonus. Let me guess, same game?
What do you know? Same game, and I'm going back to the same player. Miles Sanders, once again, I just think the Sanders props are just ridiculously low, and I think a lot of it is to do with recency bias. Like, he hasn't been doing great lately. The game logs don't look great, but this is a guy who the volume is there for on a percentage basis, and because of the pace, I think the volume should be there for now on an actual raw total basis. And so I'm going with Miles Sanders. Rushing yards, 34.5 is just way too low for a guy who gets 70% of his team's carries. 34.5, negative 110. The blitz, my projection system hasn't projected for close to 60. It's just too low. The line's just too low, and I don't care if it's all the same game.
Love that. Geoff, over to you. What's one that sticks out to you?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to the Carolina Panthers. DJ Moore, he let me down last week by half a reception, but I'm going DJ Moore over 78.5 yards this week. I think it sets up really well for Carolina to get back on track versus Minnesota this week. The Mike Zimmer defense, they continue to be floundering, in my opinion. And Carolina, with that receiving core, the Vikings can't seem to get to the quarterback. Sam Darnold will be comfortable, and he'll find his number one target for his quota on Sunday.
All right, there you go. For my bonus, I'm going to go with the Trevor Lawrence combined passing and rushing at 264.5. I mean, this is another team, the Miami Dolphins, that's just beat up right now. And I don't necessarily know if the Jaguars are going to win this game, but if they are, I mean, they're going to have to use Trevor Lawrence a ton to get them in this game. I've been trying to stay away from the Jaguars, but I just like this number for the both combined passing and rushing at 264.5. I think he's probably going to be sitting around 240, 250 in terms of passing yards and rushing. I mean, we've seen what he can do with his legs. It'd be wise for Urban Meyer to start using him with his legs a little bit more. So look for him to clear the over there. Well, that's week 6 in the books for our player props. You're going to have to tune in again next week and every week here at OddsChecker as we like to go through looking at the games, giving you a passing, rushing, receiving, and then a bonus one. Appreciate it as always, guys. Thanks for joining me.